Welcome to Healthy You Fitness. I'm Amy. This is my kitchen. My nutrition food tip of the day is going to be talking about flour and all of the different kinds of flour that is out there and what should you be using and what shouldn't you be using. Again, I'm not an expert, but this is based on research that I've done in my nutrition courses, so you can take it with a grain of salt, do some experimenting, try some new things out. Okay, first of all, we are accustomed to using white flour. White flour is basically, they take the wheat and strip it down completely. So there's no fiber left in it. There's no nutritional value left in white flour. So anything white, your sugar, your salt, your flour, your rice, they're white because they're stripped of all their nutrients, basically. So the only white flour I keep in the house anymore, and it's been about 3 years since I transitioned from white flour to whole wheat flour and other forms of other gluten-free flours, is I keep an organic, all-purpose, unbleached flour for one purpose only, to make my grandma's dumplings because my son won't eat them if I use oat flour or other flours. Grandma's dumplings, you have to use white flour. So I did find organic, unbleached flour, and it's organic wheat flour. So I compromise a little bit, but that's literally the only thing I use it for. Okay, my primary baking flour that I use is oat flour. It's made from oatmeal, from oats, okay? So there's been times where I've been out of oat flour or other flour, and I just take oatmeal and I throw it in my Ninja and I grind it super fine, and it works great. You can kind of leave it whole too, not whole, but grind it a little bit less, and then there's almost like chunks in there, and that's just a different texture, which is really good too. So my primary choice for baking is oat flour. And the reason I switched to this is my youngest son, who's 5 now, when he was about 15 months, I did an elimination diet for him because he was suffering from eczema. He was suffering from a constant runny nose, constant diarrhea. So I pulled all wheat products out of his diet. Bingo! And he was fine. So that's when I switched to gluten-free. Gluten-free, you have to be careful of too, because everybody assumes that if it's gluten-free, it's healthy. That is not always the case. So you want to stick with your organic flours as much as you can. I do keep non-GMO, 100% whole wheat flour. So this has all the nutrients intact. This is 100% whole wheat flour from hard red spring wheat. So it's brown for a reason. Now, when recipes call for a cup of white flour, it's not always an even exchange with whole wheat flour. Whole wheat flour tends to be a little bit denser. So I've experimented a lot over the years with flour, and some of them I'll use an even swap, like the oat flour I'll use as an even swap with white flour. Whole wheat, I might use half this, half oat, half this, half brown rice. I don't usually do a one-for-one exchange on white flour versus a whole wheat, just because it seems to be more dense. So there is a ton of different gluten-free flours out there, and gluten-free just means there's no wheat in it. So the oat flour is my primary. Brown rice flour is another one of my favorites, but again, I don't do an even exchange on this. It kind of makes baking goods crispy, which is fine for some things, but not great for other things. I have made some of my own muffin recipes where I like that little crispy texture, and the brown rice flour is perfect, but it's not really that great for other things. So, and then you've got things like garbanzo bean flour, which this has a couple recipes on it for like flatbread and falafel. I haven't really used this like in cookies or anything. Sometimes I just like to pick up these little bags to experiment. Tapioca flour is another one. Coconut flour. Again, those have very, very different textures, and you have to experiment or find a recipe specific to them. So basically my tip of the day is get away from using white flour. If you're going to try to find an organic white flour, but try to ease yourself into whole grain, whole wheat flours, or some oat flour, just to mix it up and make your baking a little bit healthier. If you have any comments or questions, message me below. Have a happy, healthy day.